those deadly, devastating floods in the Hill Country, and our coverage continues on this.
We're continuing to bring you the latest on the Hill Country flooding that happened this weekend. Let's take a look real quick at what we know as of this morning.
So at least 43 people are dead, 28 of them are adults, 15 of them are children, and that number of people remains unaccounted for. We don't even have that number. It's an unknown number. 12 adults and 5 children of those that have died have not been identified, plus hundreds of rescues have taken place. As far as we know, crews are continuing to search at this hour. We are told yesterday they began recovering efforts right now at 8 a.m. So if you're looking for a family member in Kerr County and you want to report them missing, you call that number at the bottom of your screen you see there, 830-258-1111. Tell them your loved one's last known location.
All right, so right now we have our very own meteorologist, Sarah Spivey. She's been working wall to wall with trying to follow up.
And we'll get to Sarah in just a second, but first we need to talk about, as the community is mourning those several lives that were lost as a result of these floods.
We're still learning more this morning, where Humble ISD posted late last night they are grieving the loss of one of their staff members, Jeff Wilson. This post right here to social media states that he worked for 30 years at both Humble High School and Kingwood Park High School. Also states that Jeff's brother-in-law says his wife, Amber, and son, Shiloh, still considered missing.
President Donald Trump took to social media Saturday to offer sympathy for the victims of the devastating flooding in Texas. And President Trump wrote his administration is working with state and local officials in response to this flooding.
Plus, Governor Greg Abbott declares today, July 6th, a day of prayer for Texans impacted by devastating floods, urging Texans of all faiths and religious traditions to offer prayers for those healing, the safety of our first responders and public safety officers, the rebuilding of the community, and restoration of the region that was struck.
And we'll continue to update you with the latest information. We're expected to hear from officials at 10 a.m. and we're going to, of course, bring you that live. And again, at 3 p.m., we'll be streaming both of those press conferences right here on KSAT 12 on air and on KSAT.com.
And as you can contact the number on your screen, and that's the Red Cross's number for any questions or information regarding that flooding. For now, let's pass it over to meteorologist Sarah Spivey as we are looking for rain chances today and potential flooding.
Exactly. Rain chances and potential flooding. We have a flood watch for all the counties you see here in green. It does include Bexar County. It includes the Hill Country until 7 p.m. because additional areas of 2 to 4 inches of rain are possible. Coverage of the storms will not be as widespread as it has been the last few days, but wherever we do get heavy rain, 2 to 4 inches of rain will fall on already saturated ground, and there could even be pockets of localized 5+ inches of rainfall. I want to show you what's happening on the radar right now. That same area that was impacted by those horrible floods, about to get some light to moderate rain. I know we've got a lot of people in the area that are very sensitive to any amount of rainfall right now after all of that flooding. For now, this is just light to moderate rainfall. I really don't think the risk for flash flooding in this area is until a little bit later in the day, but we will keep you posted. Again, it's not a guarantee that it's going to flood in these areas, just that we're watching for the potential of flooding. I want to put July 4th's rainfall in perspective for you in a different way. Take a look at the Kerr County rainfall that happened on July 4th. I'm going to circle this area right here where a large swath of up to 12 inches of rain fell. How much rain is that? Well, we can see that in these areas, that amount of rainfall amounts to 100 billion gallons of rain that fell in that area. That is more than what goes over Niagara Falls in a day. 100 billion gallons of water fell in this area in a matter of hours. Just goes to show that's why we saw such devastating flooding in those areas. The things to keep in mind for the day today, if I can press upon you, is to know that there is a flood watch through this afternoon. 2 to 4 inches of rain. If you get some heavy rain, will fall with a bullseye somewhere in the watch area of up to 5+ inches of rainfall. The good news is the Guadalupe River is receding, but there is still very high stream flow there with the Guadalupe River. So please avoid swimming in the river. There's lots of debris going on, that kind of thing. High stream flow along the Guadalupe, and we continue to see rain chances with us through Wednesday. We'll talk more in depth about that stream flow, local area lake levels rising, and what kind of impact this could have to the area drought. Details soon.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Billions of gallons. That kind of puts it in perspective that was a huge amount of rainfall that came through.
Yeah, Sarah's been using the word rain bomb, and that really puts it in perspective. Thank you so much for that, Sarah.
So we've been covering this obviously from wall to wall ever since Friday when this all started taking place, and we have so many different crews out in the field.
Our Patty Santos has been on the ground since the very beginning, early in the morning of July 4th. Thank you, Patty. You've been doing such a great job giving us perspective of this devastation. You are now in Hunt, continuing to show us the damage. Patty?
Yeah, a bomb is a good way to kind of talk about what looks like happened here. Alexis Montalvo, my photojournalist, and I, we were driving down here and we saw these concrete slabs and we said, it looks like there was a building here, and sure enough, there was houses here. Actually, 4 houses. There is one here, another one there, but as you can see, everything is gone. It is just a pile of debris. I got a chance to talk to one of the neighbors, Ms. Dee Elliott. She tells me these were her neighbors. They were all okay, but she did have people that she knew that were lost in this flood. And, you know, this is just a look at the kind of work that these families are going to have to work together with their families, their community to rebuild if they want to come back and rebuild here. And you know, today is Sunday. A lot of these families, like Miss Elliott, she was on her way to church, and because they still have hope. There is still a lot of hope in this community because what else do they have? And take a listen. I got a chance to talk to another neighbor who says, you know, they're just asking for prayers.
People have died, kids have died. We're still finding people out here. We have to rebuild because what else do we have out here? We have nothing, literally.
And there's a lot of resilience, but also there is a lot of help that is coming in. Just this morning, we have seen some heavy equipment making their way down to the west of Highway 39, probably to another location that looks just like this. But there are miles and miles of areas that look like this. And if you can help, whether it's with a chainsaw or come in and clean up somebody's house, there are a lot of ways that you can get connected to some of the organizations that are doing it. Please check out our website, ksat.com. Ladies, we'll send it back to you.
Well, Patty, thank you so much for putting that into perspective. When I was out there on Friday morning, I saw one of those slabs of concrete of just a foundation, you know, left, and it's jarring. But just like she said, it's just one of many of miles and miles at that. You know, first responders still have to go through, and they go through the house. They literally lift up every no stone unturned, like the governor said.
Right.
And they mark it saying this house is cleared and on to the next. But lots of debris that those first responders still have to go through.
Now today, recovery efforts are still underway, including the search to find all those who are missing because of the flooding. And as of this morning, family members have identified 12 people who are presumed missing.
And as of right now, 5 of the missing people are among the 27 campers from Camp Mystic who remain unaccounted for, including this girl, Kelly Ann Lytle. So this photo was shared with us by her father. She was one of the many girls at Camp Mystic, and she has still not been located. Also
missing from Camp Mystic is Eloise Peck and Lila Bonner. Relatives have identified them as well. Also missing, we got Greta Toranzo. Family members are asking you to call that number that you see on your screen right there if you have any information about her.
The 5th girl we know is missing from Camp Mystic is Blakely McCory. On your screen there right now is that number to call for the information on the missing people. That is 830-258-1111. And a family wants to know if anyone has seen these people on your screen. They are all from Beaumont. They are Kelly High School grads. They're all about 22 years old. Their names are Ella Cahill, Aiden Hartfield, Joyce Baden, and Reese Menchaca. They were in a house in Hunt that was along Highway 39 that was swept away. On your screen at the bottom corner there, you see that QR code. We have a list of several other missing people. Their families are asking anyone with any information to please reach out.
Look at your screen right now. We got video that was sent in to us by a viewer. You look right there. You got HEB trucks heading toward Comfort. It's a reminder that there are tons of ways to help. That QR code is going to lead you to a list of those ways that you can pitch in. At the bottom of your screen, got that list at ksat.com.
Japhanie, it's so hard to see all these photos of the missing, especially when you see how young these girls are from Camp Mystic. I mean, a lot of them are about 8 years old.
Yeah.
It just breaks my heart every single time.
And that's why there's so many people that are trying to figure out ways that they can help, even if they got to simply go out and try to search themselves or give donations in whatever capacity. It's just bringing a community together big time.
And we thank our viewers for all of the support and continued support for our family out in the hill country. All right, it is 8:10 and 77 degrees. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
And welcome back. It is 8:14 right now. We are still doing team coverage that's happening with the Hill Country floods, and we have more boots on the ground out in that area.
Yeah, our Robert Arnold, who is from our sister station in Houston, KPRC, is in Hunt, showing us that extraordinary damage out there. Robert, so what are you seeing now?
And forgive me, we moved since the last time that we spoke. We're actually outside of Hunt now. We're in Kerr County. We're upstream from Camp, I'll orient you a little bit. We're upstream from the Camp Mystic Cypress Lake location. Then downstream from that is the Camp Mystic Guadalupe River location. That was the campsite that was just utterly devastated by this. The reason we came up here is search crews started about a mile upstream from that so they can start working their way back down. This is one of the first areas that they started searching, and you can see just how high the water got. As your meteorologist was talking about, a rain bomb, we're seeing constant visuals of just how high the water rose. If you look down there, that's the Guadalupe down there. So the people who have homes along this portion of the river, they're set off from the river, they're higher up. They thought that they were safe from floodwaters. This flood decimated these homes. This home is on stilts, so it fared a little bit better. But if you look at the neighbor over here, this home was underwater. So it's set back a little bit. It is still higher off the riverbank, and it was underwater. And I don't know if you can hear the beeping sound through my microphone, but it was one of the reasons we stopped, as we heard this beeping sound, and we realized the fire alarms are going off inside that house. And if you walk with me a little bit over here, you see how much debris was pushed out of the river onto these people's property and through their homes. Another representation, if we walk over here, of how high that water rose and just what homeowners, business owners, this entire community is facing when it comes to rebuilding. It's this type of utter devastation. You can see this home, which is set off, is tilting. It's leaning a little bit down, so there's major structural damage. And if you look here on the corner, on the side over here, Adrian, you can see a watermark. If you come down here a little bit with my photographer, if you look up there, those lines that are on the side of the house, that's how high the water rose. So this house was underwater. It is gutted inside. In addition to homeowners, business owners, this community rebuilding, you also are going to have search and rescue crews back out today. One of the problems that the search teams are having, they still don't have a total number of the missing. Yes, they know the number of young ladies that were missing from Camp Mystic, but that is not the total number of people who are missing in this flood. One of the things the Kerrville City Manager, Dalton Rice, said is the problem they're having is you had so many people from out of town coming in because this was the 4th of July weekend. So they are not sure, and they're not even at this point going to try and guess as to how many people are still missing. But that's why they are continuing to pour search and rescue teams into this area. Last night, Chief Nim Kidd, who's the chief of the Texas Department of Emergency Management, said that there is more than 1,300 Texas personnel on the ground here, and that's in addition to the local and the federal assets that have been brought in. We've started to see heavy equipment come in to try and move these huge piles of debris, because one of the tough parts of all of this is as the search and rescue teams are going along the riverbank, they're also having to go into these piles of debris, search, make sure that there are no survivors hidden, trapped in these piles of debris. They have to go into some of these homes and also make sure that there was no one trapped inside who's in need of help. You can tell this home was searched because you have the X on it, and that's kind of the telltale sign if how you know that a search and rescue team has moved through the areas. You'll see these symbols showing that something's been searched and it's been cleared. So there is still a long day ahead, and it is likely going to take several days before they will be able to complete that search and rescue effort. Reporting live from Kerr County, Robert Arnold, KSAT 12 News.
All right, thank you so much, Robert. And obviously, we see that destruction is already warranting a lot of people who are trying to help from the outside of those borders.
Right. And we have a guest here with us. We are joined with Mayor Gina Ortiz-Jones. Thank you so much for your time this morning. Let's just take a second. How are you feeling? I know this has been so hard for all of us. As a journalist, I've been doing this for over 15 years. I was on the ground on Friday, and it's just that palpable, raw feeling of how heavy this is when we were first learning, especially when you learn about all the camps in the area, the little girls that are still missing, and then the number of people that are still unaccounted for.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me on. What I wanted to do is come on and really talk about how our city has stepped up to help. The devastation is just so widespread. And so at the governor's request, San Antonio, we have sent a contingent of firefighters, 17 in particular, those that are technical rescue, as well as medics and medical officers, and then, of course, the equipment necessary to help, a boat and as well as an ambulance bus. Also very thankful how quickly our city staff has frankly jumped into gear. I myself have been in contact with the mayor. We were actually just texting this morning about resources we can amplify to make sure people have, again, the right partners if they wanted to help. And then I know Eric Walsh and the entire city team has also been in contact with the Kerrville city manager and so forth. Obviously, when I spoke to the mayor, I expressed my condolences for what their community is going through, and that we will be there with them every step of the way. We've been with them for 17 days. Our firefighters are rotating. Again, that's heavy work, and we want to make sure that we've got the right folks doing it. But we'll be there as long as we need to. In times like this, these county boundaries they don't really matter, right? We're going to step up and we're going to help and do all that is necessary. Let me just note what we are not doing, though, and what we are leaving to the local folks as well as to the camp officials. It's really those folks that are overseeing the reunification efforts, right? So I know you highlighted the numbers that folks should continue to call. That is what they are doing. I will highlight, though, when I was talking to the mayor, their partner for volunteer coordination and for in-kind contributions is the Salvation Army there in Kerrville. So if folks want to help in that way, please go to that website to identify additional information. If folks want to make a monetary contribution, their trusted partner is the Community Foundation of the Texas Hill Country, and they have set up the Kerr County Flood Relief Fund. So those are the two partners that are trusted, have been vetted, and folks can go to if they'd like to be helpful.
As a city leader, we asked you earlier, one of the things that you guys are doing is watching closely from a distance. There's a reason you're doing that, and you'll notice on their first responders pages, they are constantly telling people, please do not get in the way.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. I mean, again, the officials on the ground, they have it under control. Again, at the governor's request, we have submitted we've provided these resources. We have done our own assessment, and that is, in fact, the maximum that we can send and still cover home base. So again, we've done all that we can do, and those resources for the community, in particular Salvation Army in Kerrville, as well as the Kerrville Flood Relief Fund, those are the best ways that folks can be helpful.
I think Governor Abbott talked about it a little bit yesterday. Texas is a special place when it comes to these disasters. We're a family, we come together. How does it make you feel that you're seeing not just, the area of Kerrville come together, but it's, San Antonio and all of our neighbors across the state working together, putting our differences aside to continue to rescue and recover these victims?
Look, first and foremost, right, we have to focus on those folks that continue to need our help, those that need to be rescued, those that need to be recovered. So that is what everybody is focused on. And then again, making sure that those that want to be helpful have the appropriate resources to do so. There will be lots of time to figure out kind of how we got to where we are to ensure the notification and resources were sufficient. Obviously, this was a 100-year flood, but we also know that there is technology available that may have been helpful. So that is for another day. Right now is focusing on helping those that need our help right now.
I know that, last Thursday, on the 3rd of July, we were actually together at the naturalization ceremony that happened at Council Chambers. Everybody was excited and gearing up for the 4th of July. For the 4th, now moving forward, it's not going to be the same for these families impacted and for us, everybody in our area impacted. If you had any words that you can reach out to the family and express to them, that we got you no matter what moving forward, what would you say?
That's exactly the message. We are all in this together. Again, I've been in constant contact with the mayor of Kerrville, and again, I know our city staff is also just, hey, what do you need? Don't hesitate to ask. Even before I came on here, I wanted to make sure I had the most accurate resources that they want to use. So we're doing all that we can do. And I told them, don't hesitate to ask. We're just a call or a text away. And again, we'll continue to support as needed because that's what's needed right now, and we'll step up.
All right, Mayor Jones, thank you so much for your time this morning. And like she said, if you don't have to be out there? Because I asked you, have you been out there? You've seen it? You said no, because you don't. It's not our job to get in the way.
Got to stay out of the way for those folks doing the hard work.
Mayor Jones, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. Okay, another focus right now is the weather, because it's still a concern, especially out in the hill country. All of our viewing area for the main part, Sarah Spivey, is still under a flood watch.
That's right. We are under a flood watch across Texas. There's a flood watch, but this one in particular is in effect now until 7 p.m. You can see that we have got on the radar a few showers and storms that are developing in the hill country. Let's go ahead and go to the radar here and take a look at this. Here we go. There's some showers ongoing right now in Kerr County. We've got light rain showers in Kerr County, and they are moving to the south. They're pretty slow, but the thing is that thankfully we're just looking at moderate rain at the moment. If the folks in the back can tell me how long I have here to talk about the weather, I want to make sure I can get the information out to people accurately. Okay, great. We've got quite some time to talk about this. So again, a few showers and storms are starting to develop up in the hill country, but the problem is that these areas are completely saturated. I showed you earlier that we have over in these areas 12 inches of rain has fallen. It equates to about 100 billion gallons of water that fell in this area. So any additional rain that is not moving is likely going to cause some flooding. The good news is this rain is moving, this rain is light, but this is definitely going to be something that people are even seeing. A little bit of rain is going to remind them about what happened about a few days ago. So keep in mind that this is moving, so that's some good news there. We do, however, need to talk about the forecast here in San Antonio. As far as our weather goes today, we're going to be looking at a few showers out there at the moment, but by the afternoon, our rain and storm chances are going to pick up a little bit, 40% coverage. So coverage is not going to be as widespread as it was yesterday. But that being said, there is still that risk there for some flooding. So once again, we've got a flood watch in effect through this afternoon into the early evening. Generally, if you get some heavy rain, there's going to be pockets of 2 to 4 inches of rain with a bullseye of up to 5+ possible. The good news about the Guadalupe River is that it's receding, but we're still seeing high stream flow. In fact, I can go ahead and show that to you right now. The stream flow along the Guadalupe is impressive in a dangerous way. You look at the stream flow rather near Spring Branch. The river there is flowing at 3,330 cubic feet per second. That is a volume of water flowing fast through Spring Branch. So the river itself is not flooding Spring Branch, but the water is flowing very fast, carrying debris. And then downstream of Canyon Lake, from New Braunfels to Seguin, we're seeing a stream flow of up to 4,000 cubic feet per second. So the river is flowing fast. It's not safe necessarily to be on the river because of the fast flow. Even the Guadalupe at New Braunfels is flowing well above what is average. If you were to go tubing in those areas, which I do not recommend, but if you were to go tubing, your time would pretty much be cut in half from what is average to float the river because of how fast that the river rather, is flowing. Once again, let's go ahead and go back to the radar. You can see, again, just a few heavier rain showers falling near Medina now. Medina Lake itself has risen by about 7 feet, but it's still only less than 5% full. So we need a lot more rain to fall in order to see Medina Lake Reservoir filled. As for the forecast for us over the next 7 days, what we're going to see is still a chance for rain through about Wednesday, and then things will start to dry out for us by Thursday, Friday. We're going to be looking at high temperatures in the mid-90s. We'll be back with more news after the break.
Good morning. Welcome back. It is 8:30 on your Sunday, July 6th, 2 days after those devastating, deadly floods, and we continue our coverage.
We're going to bring you the latest on the Hill Country flooding that happened this weekend. Let's look at this. This is what we know as of this morning.
At least 43 people are dead. 28 of them are adults. 15 of them are children, and an unknown number of people remain unaccounted for. Out of those 43 people that are dead, 12 adults and 5 children have not been identified at this time, plus hundreds of rescues still are taking place and have taken place. As far as we know, crews are continuing to search at this very hour. We were told yesterday they will start the recovering efforts at 8 o'clock this morning, so it's been going on for at least the last half hour. And if you're looking for a family member in Kerr County and you want to report them missing, call that number at the bottom of your screen, 830-258-1111. Make sure you tell them your loved one's last known location.
All right, at this time, let's go over to meteorologist Sarah Spivey. She's been on it all morning long, kind of giving us a heads up for more rain to come.
That's right. I want to start with the authority radar because what we're seeing in the Hill Country right now is light to moderate rain. This is not going to result in any flooding at the moment, so that is some good news. But the bad news is the atmosphere is still plenty charged for rainfall throughout the day today. And as we head throughout the day, we get a little bit more heat in the atmosphere. These showers across our region are going to have the capability to turn into thunderstorms that produce heavy rain. So with that in mind, there is a flood watch rather, in effect until 7 p.m. for all of these counties in green that you see here, including Kerr County, where the devastating flooding took place, all across the Hill Country out toward Seguin as well in San Antonio. It doesn't mean flooding is guaranteed in every location here, but it does mean that the atmosphere is primed to produce flooding conditions. So if you get a heavy downpour, you could easily see 2 to 4 inches of rain with localized 5+ inches of rainfall. And that would definitely lead to additional flooding. I want to go ahead and take a look and just remind everybody about how much rain has fallen in the last several days. This is a look at rainfall since July 1st. Now, most of this fell on July 4th and July 5th, but of course we've been talking a lot about the foot of rain that fell in western Kerr County, but also our neighbors to the north, nearer to Marble Falls in Burnett County. These areas saw in some cases up to 1.5 feet of rainfall, and all of the rain that fell downstream of Canyon Lake here happened yesterday. This is why we had that flooding along the Guadalupe closer to Seguin and New Braunfels, not because of all of the rain that went into Canyon Lake, but because all of the rain that fell yesterday in these areas. Again, in some cases up to 7 inches of rain. So needless to say, the ground is saturated. Any more heavy rain is likely to lead to flooding. Thankfully, the rain that's falling in the Hill Country right now is only light to moderate. We're going to keep you posted, and I've got another staggering fact about the volume of water that fell over those areas just to the west of Kerrville. I'll have those details coming up.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Obviously, we've had this team coverage been happening since Friday when this all was unfolding, and we still got that team coverage going on today.
That's right. Patty Santos has been out on the ground since the very beginning at 4 o'clock in the morning on July 4th. And Patty, thank you so much for your coverage and showing us all that devastation. What are you seeing now in Hunt?
Okay, so we were trying to make our way down Highway 39 into Camp Misty, but we started to lose our signal. So we are going to be also heading back for that news conference. But we got a better understanding of how people were trapped in these communities where the landscape, there are hills that are a little higher, and there are areas like the one that you're seeing right here that are low-lying, that are closer to the forks that go through this area. And so this is the area that we're seeing a lot of devastation, but we couldn't go even any further. But I'm hearing that it gets even worse or the same. Concrete slabs where homes were once there. Neighbors already starting to come out to assess the damage. We're already starting to see a lot of the emergency crews, cleanup crews, making their way down towards the camp. I've actually seen some folks that are already walking here that are, it looks like they're doing searches on the ground, on foot, looking for additional people. But really, it is just devastating, guys. What we're seeing this morning, what we're able to see, this is the first time I'm able to see this, and I've been covering this for 3 days. And just when you think, this is bad, you keep driving, and this goes on for miles and miles. I got a chance to talk to Ms. D. Elliott, who lives down the street. Her home was safe, but her neighbors rushed to her home because her home is on higher ground. So they were able to seek shelter at our property until rescue crews or family members were able to come in and take them. But you see that house in front, just the garage that was once there, now gone. You also see right there on the left side of your screen, some heavy equipment making its way down to continue this cleanup. Again, Miss Elliott, I asked her, what do you need from the community that is watching, that a lot of us feel very helpless? What can we do for you? And take a listen to what she said.
What do you want to say to the community? There's a lot that needs to be cleaned up here. There's a lot of people that are wanting to help one way or the other. What do you say to the community?
I'd say they probably are going to have people come in to help with chainsaws, and I don't expect people to come in with chainsaws, but just to keep us in your prayers. But most of the people aren't here now. Mm-hmm. They've even been picked up. Yeah. But to clean up this mess.
Yeah, a lot of chainsaws, a lot of prayers. Today is Sunday. A lot of folks are going to be heading to their communities. A lot of those churches becoming donation spots for folks who want to do something. Please get connected. If you're seeing this devastation, please don't come down here to the area that is hardest hit. It's going to take a long time to clean up, but don't come this week. Don't come today. Maybe come in a few weeks, or get connected with an organization that will consistently come back to this community to continue to provide support. If you want to donate, if you want to give, please, we have a list of organizations right now that are collecting money for those victims. But again, all we can do right now on this Sunday is just pray, and also think about the first responders that are continuing the recovery efforts today into day 3. Well, we are on our way back into Kerrville right now to head to that news conference at 10 o'clock, and we hope to bring you more updates then. We'll send it back to you.
All right, thanks so much, Patty. And while families are on pins and needles waiting to hear any update about their missing loved ones, we're hearing stories of heroism.
That's right. People putting their lives on the line to save others. One of those individuals is Dick Eastland, known to so many in the Hill Country. He was the owner and director of Camp Mystic, a private Christian summer camp for girls. Unfortunately, he passed away because of this tragedy. One of his family members took to Facebook and said that Dick Eastland died trying to save campers.
The Kerrville Daily Times also published an article on their website about the tragedy, saying the writer, Paige Sumner, wrote about Dick, quote, "It doesn't surprise me at all that his last act of kindness and sacrifice was working to save the lives of campers. He had already saved so many lives with the gift of Camp Mystic." And we have an update about missing Zunker family. Tyvee boys soccer coach Reese Zunker and his wife Paula were among those who died. The team announced on Facebook Saturday night, at last check, the 2 children are still missing, reportedly swept away from their home in the Hunt area.
We've also been telling you about Reese Zunker, Kerrville Tyvee High School's boys soccer head coach, and his family since they were reported missing. The school did confirm that Reese and his wife Paula were found dead. The school saying this about Reese, quote, "Coach Reese Zunker was not just a soccer coach. He was a mentor, a teacher, and a role model for our Kerrville kids." At this time, there's no word about their children who are still missing. And I know that a lot of our viewers are saying, why aren't you posting all of the people that are missing? There's so many people being posted on social media. We need the family's permission to post those photos. And also we have a way longer list of those missing with those photos who have gotten permission from the family, also on ksat.com.
Yes, I'm happy you said that too, because again, there are so many overwhelming our inboxes and stuff, and I know that the city officials don't even have a number of the ones that are exactly missing. So we're going to be staying on top of that all morning long, especially with the press conference coming up at 10 and then another one at 3. Right now, though, we're at 8:45 at 77 degrees outside.
We'll be right back.
She just kept screaming, and I thought she was in the river. It sounded like the voice was moving.
Stories of survival continue this morning from Kerr County after the deadly flooding that devastated communities all along the Guadalupe River.
Paige Hubbard with our sister station KPRC in Houston has been listening to those accounts. She joins us live from Centerpoint with how the community is pulling together. Paige.
Good morning. Right now I'm standing right in front of the Guadalupe River, and we were able to speak with a man who lives just across the river. He tells us that he had to rescue a woman from the raging floodwaters. And just a quick note on the conditions, things are much calmer than what we saw a few nights ago, but some of that rain that Sarah spoke about is coming down right now. Now back to that rescue, we were told that Devin Smith and several of her family members were camping near the river in Kerrville when they were swept away in floodwaters together. Devin and other family members drifting more than 15 miles down the river one by one. Devin says she watched them float away. She, however, managed to grab a hold of a tree, literally hanging on for her life. Her screams were heard by Carl Jetter, who saw her from his back porch. He says he then sprang into action, calling first responders, telling them what he was witnessing. Smith was rescued and taken to a hospital where she remains this morning. Jetter says it was a moment he'll never forget.
There's no words. I mean, it's a miracle. I went to hollering back to her that, hey, I see you. We're going to get some help for you, but you're going to have to hang on.
At this hour, the rest of Devin Smith's family is still missing, unfortunately. Devin told Carl that there was a refrigerator that had taken her under multiple times, and debris was also pulling her underwater. As we've been out here this morning, we've seen some of those recovery efforts taking place. I spoke with a man who says that he's right here from Centerpoint, and he just wanted to do his part and help out. We've seen people canvassing the bank of the Guadalupe River, and as you all have been reporting, there is a press conference coming up at 10 a.m. where we will be able to give you more information. But for now, that's all that we have right here. I'll go ahead and send it back to you all in the studio.
Thank you so much, Paige. And as she mentioned, just describing her experience, they're going to be in need of counseling services for everyone involved.
Absolutely. And I'm glad that she talked about, that refrigerator bringing her down. I mean, I can't imagine. She is so fortunate to be alive because the amount of debris that all of these victims were encountering as they were going down that water. It's incredible that she was able to grab that tree and, you're not hitting your head or getting taken down by other debris in that rush of water. And Sarah, you have given us a great perspective on the amount of water that fell in a small period of time there.
Yeah, this is a different way to look at this. We're not just talking about inches of rain. We're going to talk about a volume of water here. So Estimates within this box of rainfall are up to about a foot of rain. That includes areas along 39 up to Hunt, Ingram, the Camp Mystic area. To put this in perspective to you, the amount of water, the volume of water that fell in a matter of hours in these areas is 100 billion gallons of water. That is more than flows over the Niagara Falls in a day. 100 billion gallons of water in a matter of hours. That's why we saw such devastating flooding along the Guadalupe River. And we can actually go ahead and remind folks about how much of that, how that Guadalupe River rose. By about 4:35 on the morning of July 4th, up to 29 feet in Hunt. 10 minutes later, up to 23 feet in Kerrville. By 11 a.m., 35 feet in Comfort. And then farther downstream, 50 feet was how high the river rose at Ammons Crossing south of Bergheim before finally cresting in Spring Branch. So this was July 4th and 5th along the Guadalupe, all of that flowing into Canyon Lake. The river south of Canyon Lake or downstream of Canyon Lake might not have flooded if it wasn't for the fact that areas around that Guadalupe River downstream of Canyon Lake saw this much rain right over the river itself, up to about 6 inches of rain between Sattler and Green, and then near Seguin there was about 7 inches of rain as well. So we're currently seeing very high stream flow along the Guadalupe River, even though it is not flooding. So the stream flow along the Guadalupe River is flowing fast. Take a look at Seguin, up to 4,000 cubic feet per second. So again, the river is not at flood levels, but it is moving very fast, and there's lots of debris in the river still, especially downstream of Canyon Lake. We are going to keep everybody posted on that, but we can't let our guard down because there is a risk for flooding again today. As we take a look at the radar, you can see that there's quite a bit of rain falling right now just to the west of Kerrville in Hunt and Ingram. The good news is this is only light rain. It is not going to be causing any immediate issues with flooding, but there is some more moderate rain falling near Mountain Home. The bad news is the same system that produced that rain bomb is still overhead, and you can see that here the last 24 hours. Now it has started to move a bit, which is good news because for a while it was just parking itself right over Texas. It has started to move to the west a little bit, but with that low pressure system and the Gulf moisture, we are still going to be having a risk for flooding today. And that's why there is a flood watch in effect through the evening. Now, it doesn't mean that flooding is guaranteed in these counties in green, but just that it's a possibility. If you get heavy rain, you could easily see 2 to 4 inches of rain with bullseyes here and there of up to 5+ inches of rainfall. So we're going to keep you posted about that. As I break down your hour-by-hour forecast, though, in San Antonio, coverage of the rain will be less, not as much as it was yesterday. You can see just a few spotty showers out there right now, but by the afternoon, about 40% coverage. So we'll keep you posted. When are we going to dry out? Unfortunately, we still have rain chances in our forecast until Wednesday. That's a sentence I didn't think I would say. Unfortunately, we still have rain chances. For the longest time, we have been begging for rain because of our drought conditions, but now it's been too much of that rainfall. So we're going to dry out by the end of the week. We'll be looking at highs in the mid-90s. It is quiet around San Antonio right now. Let's take a look outside with live cam. You can see that things are quiet for us at the moment around San Antonio, but we'll have to still be on alert for that potential for flooding this afternoon. We'll be back with more news after the break.